Hey, good evening, Council, City of Moreno Valley, the staff, hardworking staff over there. I want to give another shout out to the animal shelter people. They do a great job. We still got a long way to go. Still a lot of animals being put down there. It's a shame, but I got 3 of them myself. So if you're looking for an animal, the animal shelter is the way to go. I went back into the history of how many times I've been up here asking for this very simple task. I've sent emails to a lot of you. Some of you guys delete my emails and you do what you do. Adrian Mitchell Park needs a bathroom. It is a highly used park. Now, I'm sorry, a lot of you guys are saying, where's Adrian Mitchell Park? It's right across the street over there, not far from the golf course. Now, it's a highly used park that when people are over there practicing for soccer and whatever they're doing, since there is no bathroom there, they are taking the liberty and using the bathroom against the fortified walls and whatever. Now, with all the money we spent on all this stuff, I think asking for a porta potty, if you guys can do that, is that too much to ask for human dignity over there? I live in that area. I think it's something that we need to address. It is a park that has the first military female soldier killed in the city's history, and I think it deserves a bathroom. And I'm willing to settle for a porta potty. I mean, is that too much? Now, we're in silly season, and I'm asking the public to look at the 460s. Tonight we are talking about cannabis all over our city. And I want you to look at those 460s and look at a mayor who has donations from the cannabis interests. And think about his vote tonight, or whatever he's going to do. So look at those 460s. You want to know what's going on with your representative, that's going to tell you a lot. But tonight we're doing something on cannabis, and it's going to be interesting. I filed a complaint with the district attorney last week, and you guys know I'm the Inland Empire Informer. I'll let you know what's going on here. It's all about public records, and the city clerk has records that I'm still waiting for, and I'll be in there tomorrow to get them. I filed a complaint with the DA in regards to the skate park and the amphitheater. It is obvious that a Brown Act violation has taken place or some kind of shenanigans is going on, and the public would like to know what's it about. The staff, one of the staff members had admitted, yeah, you guys jumped the gun, which goes against the state, or at least the city municipal code. If it's against the city municipal code, why would you guys move forward with a groundbreaking ceremony if you guys know you jumped the gun? That doesn't make any sense, and I think it's illegal. So some of you guys are going to go to jail.
Okay, next 3 speakers, Jose.
Jason Hunter. I'm here to beat a dead horse to some extent. I'm here to talk again about the topic of the possible lack of appropriations authority by the city manager before spending public funds on the skate park and amphitheater. Now, in the last 2 weeks, I've received documents from the clerk, just yesterday actually, in response to a public records request I made. It was 37 pages long, and quite honestly, I haven't had the chance to really dive deep into it yet. I've looked at it, kind of scanned it. I've also had a nice back and forth with the city manager via email during this time. So here, what are my preliminary findings, right? I looked at Resolution 2008-88, and it says the city manager is hereby authorized to approve new appropriations provided there are new offsetting revenues to be recognized and with no net budgetary impact. Now, I haven't taken a look at a deep dive into the CIP yet. That's the Capital Improvement Project document to determine whether it's a planning or a budgetary document, but I will soon enough. I'll get to it soon enough, and so I'll get a better feel for how that all plays out. But here's what I don't think that means. I don't think the city manager and I agree on what the meaning of those words are. That's what I think is going to happen here. I don't think the city manager has the ability, at least what I've seen so far, to just add new projects into the CIP without council direction in an openly public meeting. I just don't see it. And in his email response to me, what I found was a little bit alarming was that he said, well, you know, Jason, this is what we did in Riverside when I was at Riverside. And my response to that is, if you haven't been following what's been going on at Riverside at an executive level, is the community has thrown all those people out. Not only have we thrown all the executives out, we've thrown all their hand-picked successors out. So if you were doing it in Riverside, My guess is this is either abuse of policy or it's just plain bad policy, in which case it falls back on the council. So I think this needs to be fixed because, once again, it's a matter of public concern that the business of the public be conducted openly and everybody be able to see how the public's money is being spent and what kind of priorities should be sent by this on spending should be sent by this council. From what I can tell, the city manager's logic and reasoning is that as long as he's got new money showing up in the budget, he could go around and buy fur coats for everybody on staff as long as it was under $75,000 a pop. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever. And it shouldn't make sense to anybody up there or anybody in this room. So either we have an abusive policy or we have bad policy. It falls on either over here or up there, and it can be fixed. Thank you.
Donovan Siddiq, Wayne Manihia, Sean Fortine.
All right. Good evening again. You guys jumped my thing. Okay, I've been here 41 years, and I'm just going to say this. I'm not saying this is a bad idea, but I hope we've done our research to what has happened in Colorado. They are having a major problem with crime, guns, and just the industry itself as the crime lords come in and they undersell the legal ramifications. And right now, Colorado is actually thinking of repealing their cannabis laws because it's that much of a problem. So I'm just going to do a quick recap for you guys. We approve warehouses. Nothing wrong with warehouses. Everybody knows I'm not against warehouses. I'm against where they're located because I do have a logistics background. I did take the RCC course. Now, when you have empty warehouses, that attracts homeless people. It seems like in this city we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. And nothing against the staff. These guys, they work hard, but then again, they don't live here either. So if I didn't live in the place and I'm just bringing in whatever I could bring in to keep my job, not saying that you guys are doing that. You guys are doing a great job. I'm going to do what I need to do. But would I want a cannabis store anywhere near my home? Would I want a warehouse anywhere near my home in Laguna Niguel in Orange County? Of course not. So now we bring in the homeless people, which brings in the trucks, which tears up our roads. Then with the trucks comes the lizard lots. And for those at home that don't know what lizard lots are, please look that up. And then with the lizard lots, now we've come to the cannabis. Do you guys see a pattern that's happening here? Show me a successful city that has all of these dynamics together. If you think that that is a good combination of all these things put together with a limited police force, are you guys serious? You want to bring in, you could bring in a number of cannabis, I would say limited, but look at our police force as well. At any given time in a city of over 200,000 people, you guys know as well as I know, there's only 8 officers on duty. You guys know that. And you want to bring in a cannabis operation that some people on the council, the mayor, has been getting donations from. So I want you guys to think about that.
Next speaker.
Hello. Hi.
Good evening, Wayne.
Good evening. I agree with him, and I also do agree to disagree as being one of the proprietaries and doing business here in Moreno Valley and being awarded thank you for doing a great policy and a great program on getting legal shops here in the city. I commend everybody here from staff to the city council. Is there a need for any more? No, absolutely not. There is no need, and I'm opening up a shop in the city, and I am for this, but I am against any more shops because you have to take it step by step, stone by stone. And you have to look at this. Colorado is not in trouble. Colorado is actually doing great. So I can give you the statistics and I give you the report. Okay, I am from Brooklyn, New York, originally. I understand everything about gentrification. Laguna Niguel, I had spent a third of my life over there. Will there be dispensaries there? Yes, next year they will change this. Does Moreno Valley need more than what you guys already offered now? No. Are we changing the schematics of the land to make it nicer in certain areas? We took the old Stater Brothers. We are going to spend millions of dollars to gentrify that location over there, which is decimated with homeless people. I have gone in there 3 times, chased them out with tasers. I want to build a homeless community here in Moreno Valley for the homeless people, to educate them, to give them jobs. Hopefully the rest of the cannabis people will come on board with us and donate the money they make. But let's look at this. Let's go for the 8 plus the 2, which was 10. 28 people submitted, 44 for total, for cultivation, for manufacturing, distribution. Anybody can donate to any city council member that they want to for political. If they want to give it back, they can give it back. But that's like going up to Washington and saying, hey, guess what? You raised $2 million for my campaign, or $1 billion, and saying nothing happened. This is life. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to actually educate the community, do great stores, take care of police, and do as best as possible, be exemplary for the community, and say, okay, let's start off with the 10. Don't let anybody bully you, because we did a lottery here. We all came here, and we got drawn out from a ticket. There was nothing here done. If you want to indict people, indict the people who can't get it done because they're angry because they didn't get a lottery ticket. Do you go back and return your Powerball because you go, hey, guess what? I spent $1,000 on Powerball. I didn't win $1 billion. It happens. Let's just do it right. You guys are doing it right. Leave it alone. There's no need. It's just going to blow up in our face, and it's going to look really ridiculous. Santa Ana did it with 20. There were 380,000 people. There's 24,000 people per shop. You guys are right at the right number. When you get to 250,000 people, increase. When the demand comes, increase. Just please leave it alone. I'm thankful here. That's it.
Thank you, Wayne. Next 3 speakers.
Hi. I actually used to be in favor of medical marijuana, and I'm not going to go into exactly what happened to change that, because actually sometimes I'll think about that person, actually. But in the process, I actually had a meeting with a doctor about that, and he explained that not only is it not as well, basically that there's a whole lot of problems with it that in terms of both physical and mental health that have been basically swept under the rug, and basically a lot of the stuff we hear is just the same thing said over and over again until we believe it. And then there's also issues with there's studies to prove it, and I also have a study about the quality of life, that people that use marijuana tend to have more social, personal problems and financial problems and legal problems than their parents, except for traffic tickets for some reason. That doesn't explain, but it's too long for this council and too complex for flunkies. But the other thing is with having all these businesses, people that are over 21 have pretty much made up their minds about whether or not they want to use marijuana or not. And quite frankly, that means that if we have a bunch of new businesses, they have to be advertising somehow, and they need to get more people to start using somehow. And well, it's probably not going to be from the over 21 crowd. Last of all, I find it interesting that we're having this meeting at this time discussing legalizing more shops, considering that Mayor Gutierrez accepted $40,000 from cannabis companies fairly recently. So yeah, I hope you guys take that all into consideration, because there's a lot more going on than what's been presented. So thanks.
Next 3 speakers. 1 round of deliberation. Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Okay, well, hopefully I don't forget to say something. I just want to say, first of all, that none of us on the council has ever had the opportunity to participate in the cannabis business and how to do the ordinances and the laws and the process. So we did what we thought was best. So we had the lottery, and everyone that went in, I believe, was hopeful. And of course, the ones that didn't win were very disappointed. And that's where we are today. So thank you, City Manager, for bringing this back to the council so that we can do the technical cleanup on the ordinances in addition to looking at it again. I believe that seeing that with the 8 winners, we still don't have the businesses open, I believe that we should open it up so that the free market dictates how this business is going to operate. And the reason I say that is because we do that for every other business, except that the cannabis business has the stigma attached to it. So everyone, not everyone, but many people look down on it. Many people are afraid to make decisions. I'm not afraid. So saying all that, I know that with HDL, and I would like the city manager to elaborate, or someone on the staff to elaborate a little more on what HDL would do from this point forward with the new applications if we go that way. I know that we have a stringent and rigorous process that the lottery went through, the winners and the applicants, and even the people that didn't win the lottery. I know that they went through that process, and I know for a fact, based on what you're saying out there, that you're still paying rent. You're still paying rent, and you're still hopeful that Moreno Valley will give you the opportunity to do business. And I do recognize you as businessmen and women, entrepreneurs that are coming to our city to do business. I don't see it as the black market rising to the surface. The black market is there, and they're not applying for licenses here in Moreno Valley. And I know that our police department does an excellent job in closing down the ones that we find, but there's still more out there. And I know that we will continue to close down the black market as we go forward, even with the new shops opening up. I know it's very complicated and it's very expensive, and like some of the speakers that are more knowledgeable about this business know, not everyone's going to make it. It's just like the restaurant business. Not everybody makes it. I mean, we have our hopes and dreams. We open up a restaurant, and what happens? A year later, you're shut down because it didn't work, and that's going to happen in this industry as well. Yes, there was a public obligation, public benefit obligation attached to the application, and everyone that applied had to indicate how the public was going to benefit from this business. And I know that we're looking forward to that. I know there's a lot of nonprofits and other agencies out there that are looking forward to this business being profitable. I just want to say that I hope we make the right decision tonight. And I know that there's 5 of us up here, and we'll wait and see how it turns out. Thank you.
Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I've been pretty much not sleepy nights thinking about this. As everybody knows, I was against this right from the beginning. I was concerned about this, that these problems would arise from the beginning. We didn't give enough time to our staff to research. Now we're asking them to do something else. Well, we should have thought about this when we proposed this and approved of this. You can't do something like this in 6 months. And that's what staff was told to do, 6 months. It takes over a year. One of our staff even said it. It takes over a year to do this. With the research, you can't do it overnight. So you do something overnight, and this is the results. You can't do it. The biggest problem is this. What if the federal law intervenes and people in Washington State or Washington, D.C. decides to pull the plug and says it's still illegal to sell marijuana? We're going after the states that are selling it. What if that happens? Where are we going to be? We got a lot of work to look at, a lot of work if that happens. with this administration in Washington, who knows? They can even do it next week. We need to research this. We can wait another couple of months. Let the staff work with what they have now. But we can't rush to this. Now, I understand a couple of the applicants were here, and they had said, well, you know, we're renting. We don't know which way to go yet. We don't know if we should give up this rental property. We have a lot of rental properties in Moreno Valley. And yes, there's some that you can't open a cannabis dispensary because it's too close to a school. But there's other facilities that you can rent. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. If you're an applicant that didn't get picked in the lottery, well, you know what? It's like it's one guy said, you know, you want to buy a lotto ticket. You put your money in there and you don't win, well, try again later. Same thing with these applicants. If you didn't get chosen, which we did it legally, properly, and I think it was good the way we did it. I have nothing against that. I think our staff did a marvelous job, and I applaud them. But we didn't give them enough time to really research this. I don't want to rush it. My concern is the city is going to be liable for something that we had to rush. I don't want to give out any more money to lawsuits. Let's go at what we have now. Look at what we have now, and let it play out. Let it play out. These 6 applicants that haven't applied for the CUPs yet, well, maybe after tonight they realize that, hey, maybe we should. Maybe we should go and apply now. Let's go forward with this. Or they're going to pull our license, our permits. One speaker says, 30 to 45 days. Give them that much. If you don't do it, we'll pull you and pick the next applicant that's in line. That's a good idea. But give these applicants that won the lotto fairly and squarely time to get their business in order. I don't feel we have to give any more or unlimited license. I don't care what Parrish does. I don't care what Calimesa does, Cathedral City does. This is Moreno Valley, and we want to do it. I want to do it, and my colleagues should want to do it right the first time. This is nothing to play games with, because again, federal law prohibits this, and with our staff and our government in Washington, it scares me. So I just want to let the applicants know that won fairly, the 8 applicants who won the lotto. Go forward. Start moving. Get your behind in gear and let's go. If not, you'll get a notice in the mail, and let's do that. Let's give you 30, 45 days. If we don't see any movement, then we'll go to the next person who in line with the lotto and go from there. But not rush this. I'm asking, do not rush this. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Gaiba.
Thank you. Dave, I can't disagree with you in anything that you just said. My position hasn't changed. 2 wrongs don't make 1 wrong right. I know the mayor has been touting the fact that the city voted 61% for marijuana on Prop 64, or whatever the proposition was. That's true, but we only have a 23% voting rate in our city. So really, 1/4 of that was the ones who were voting. So we still never really reached out to our community to find out if we, as a community, really ever wanted marijuana in this city. I keep hearing about money, money, money. You know what? Morals, ethics, those things are worth more than dollars in my city. And I personally am standing up for the fact that this is something I don't think is in the best interest of the city from day one. There are 5 people up here going to make the decisions. There's going to be 3 that actually make that decision, or 4, who knows. But the reality is I cannot vote for this just like I couldn't vote for before, because I don't know how the rest of my city really felt. If we had actually reached out to the rest of our city and our community, instead of pushing this forward and rushing this process. If anybody remembers, I said, why are we in a hurry? Take your time. Do it the right way. Why did you want to put this in place so soon, so quick? Let's learn from the mistakes of others. If this is what you want to do, I want to know that I have a majority of my community that's really behind it. Look, I'll support my community, but I don't have that data. I don't have that information. 25% of this city votes. So 61% voting for Prop 64 to put this marijuana in the state, but only 25% of that 61%. So I really don't know. And since this city and this majority and this staff, God bless them, they work hard. I know them very well. I've known these guys for years, probably more than the rest of them have known them. And they're doing what they're asked to do. But the reality is we don't have the true information from our community. And if 61% of our community wanted it, and we have all of those people wanting to do this, I believe it's going to bring us more problems in the future. It's just, it's typical of any kind of thing. When I say two wrongs don't make one wrong right, just look at the statistics from alcohol alone. We lose 50,000 people a year to drunk drivers. Now you're going to throw marijuana in the mix? And our police and fire department know what happens when they have to go out and take care of a situation where there's somebody who got killed in an accident because somebody was under the influence. And oh, by the way, we don't even have a law here to determine who's under the influence. Now, until you iron all those pieces out, you're being unwise. That's the politest way I can put it. You're being unwise. And now you want to make it so that there is no limit in my city. Now, before you made an argument, we're going to limit it, we're going to limit it, we're going to limit it. My question still stands. Why now, all of a sudden, are you saying, oh, let's let the market take care of it. Let's not have a limit. My question to the public, my question to the staff, my question to you folks, and you should be asking that same question, is why now, when we were vetting this a year ago, why now all of a sudden are we allowing no limit? Now, grant you, the market may not allow that many. That's true. But you're still saying anybody who applies and follows those rules and those procedures can have a business in my city. If, I could be incorrect on this. It's just a thought. Take it for what it's worth. But we have cartels down in south of us that own cities in the same fashion as I think we're pushing toward. And I'm not in favor of that. Not in the slightest. So it's obvious. After listening to everything, I know everybody wants to make money, money, money. We've been doing a great job. Mike Lee, your team is doing a wonderful job of bringing tax revenue to our city. We don't need our tax revenue to be added to by what I consider an immoral environment. I grew up in the 60s, all right? I know out of 6 of us guys who were friends, 2 of them are dead to drugs. One ran into a telephone pole while on marijuana, and the other one died of a morphine overdose at 17 years old. I saw the effects of drugs on people. I saw it. And this is all we're doing now. We're going to bring it into our city, make it even more accessible, and give it to our teens, just like the alcohol issues. All right, that's my position. I'm standing by it, and I'm not voting for this thing. Bye.
Just wanted to say that, I don't think, in regards to the ordinance that was passed several months ago, or even with this cleanup item, that we're giving anything to teens. Obviously, if teens have it, then it's illegal. They're not supposed to have it. Just, like if teens have alcohol, and they're using alcohol, or if they're intoxicated publicly, they're not allowed to have that. So they'll suffer the consequences. They'll be charged with a crime because it's a crime. I also don't think that tonight we are asking the staff. I believe that the staff is recommending to us some options and cleanup items. So these are cleanup items in the sense that, the ordinance was done, several months ago. We didn't know exactly, how many folks were going to apply. We didn't know that there were going to be, I think it was like 44 applicants or something like that total that came, in the beginning. We didn't know that we were going to get that many. And so, we did set limits, at that time. And then we also didn't know that even if, we set the limits and we did the lotto, which I do believe we did that fair and square, but we didn't know that none of those folks were going to apply for the CUP process. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that of the 8 folks or the 8 businesses that did receive those provisional permits, and I call them provisional because they are provisional permits, none of them have applied for the CUP process. So that tells you there that maybe those 8 that we selected weren't the right ones, probably. So Paris, I think is a good example because, they have no limits and only 4 dispensaries are there. I think one of the speakers, I forgot if it was Nagar that said that. I think that's a great point right there. And we have to keep in mind that it's not that 23 will open right away, or whichever the amount of the eligible folks or whatever that are going to open right away, because they still have to go through the CUP process, which is a lengthy process. They have to show all of the requirements that they need to provide to the planning staff. They have to go through planning, and then their fees. They have to do the fees as well. And then the market will end up dictating whether they succeed or not. I've always been, for regulations, and I'm still for regulations and closing down the illegal ones. And I do know that if you don't have, at least, some, out there, then more illegal ones are going to pop up. And so I rather have the ones that are regulated. And I do support, the recommendation, as far as, maybe having no limits, I think that might be a big thing, for many people to grasp. So I would support option B, which is to at least allow the ones that are at least eligible. That means the ones that made it through the application process, scored 80%. And mind you, that was a separate process that I know none of the council members were a part of. And that's why that was contracted out. So HDL, administered that program, and, they conducted the interviews. We weren't in part of the interviews or anything like that. So I do recommend at least, allowing the ones that are at least eligible. That means that went through the whole process already and paid some of their fees to start the next process, which is the CUP, planning, fees, and then allowing the market to dictate. Councilmember Carrera.
Thank you. So this definitely is not an easy topic. It's not an easy decision. It's going to be a difficult vote as well. And I'll leave my personal beliefs, personal preferences about cannabis out of this decision as much as possible. But I do want to say a few things. I want to touch on a couple different aspects of this topic. So I'm definitely open to changing the number of permits, not just for commercial retail, but for the micro business, for the distribution, cultivation. That's something that we need to look at again, especially the zoning. That's something that I brought up before, to take a second look at where we allow the cannabis businesses to operate, specifically for distribution, cultivation, and micro business, to include industrial areas, because to me, if we're trying to bring in revenue for the city, we need to be looking at the distribution and the cultivation and the micro business. And we really constricted and confined the areas where these cannabis businesses can go and operate, which is industrial buildings, light industrial buildings. So we need to take a look at that again. So on one side, you have the financial impacts of cannabis, which right now, as we're all very aware, the state and the country is struggling to find revenue to pay for things like more police officers, to fix our roads, to address the homeless problem, to pay for student tuition, to pay for pensions and unfunded liabilities. And that's the problem that we're all dealing with, especially in California, trying to find revenue to take care of these issues. So that's the financial impact. But then there's also the social impact, and that's something that we as policymakers have to take into account. And I represent District 4. I'm right on the border with Paris. And I know they don't have 4 dispensaries, maybe 4 legal ones, but there's more than that. A lot of that seeps over to my district. We have smoke shops that I was not a part of opening, but I see the rotations of the population that come to the smoke shops and the liquor stores and what happens there. And I'm not saying that's all due to cannabis, but I see what's going on. And so, again, I'm open to the idea of looking at changing the number of permits, changing the zoning, but I think we need to take a little bit more time to look at that, to make sure that we're doing this correctly and that we are not rushing this and we're not doing it too quickly and shooting ourselves in the foot. And again, I want to remind everyone, I'm in favor of legalizing cannabis. I voted for it. I was one of the votes to bring it into this city. I do not agree with prohibition. It doesn't work. And I was a part of bringing it here to Moreno Valley because I understand that we need to get rid of that black market as much as possible. And we need to allow proper legal businesses to come in and operate. And small business owners that have come up here and spoken tonight give you the opportunity to come in and try to make some money and try to be successful. And I want to add as well that I have absolutely no problem at all with the medicinal side of cannabis. I'm a firm believer in the CBD, which a lot of you back there know what I'm talking about. CBD works, and we should be promoting that more. And hemp, we should be promoting that more in the agricultural industry to start exporting more to other countries. We have a really good opportunity here in California. But the recreational side is a little bit tougher because you look at other drugs like alcohol, and I think that's the closest one that I can compare it to. But at the end of the day, we do have a choice. And I don't believe the government should be here to tell the people, no, you can't use cannabis. No, you can't use alcohol. The government should not be telling people what they can and cannot do. We should give the people the choice to make that decision, whether an individual wants to use cannabis or alcohol or not use it. So, all in all, I think that we need to look at this in more detail. Maybe if we can bring this back at the next council meeting or even do a study session so we can bring the complete package. But tonight, I think it's too quick. It's too fast to make this decision tonight. And I do want to make sure that anyone who wants to come into Moreno Valley to do business has the opportunity to be successful. And so I want to work with everyone who got into the lottery and everyone who did not. And we need to continue to have this conversation. I'm just asking for a little bit more time. Thank you.